Good evening. Katie is on assignment. The ongoing battle over how much to cut from this year's federal budget has Republicans and Democrats at odds yet again. The stalemate could end up in a government shutdown in a matter of days. And before that battle is settled, a new one is beginning over a Republican proposal to cut trillions from future budgets, a plan that includes dramatic changes to Medicare. More on that in a moment. First, though, the standoff. President Obama had congressional leaders into the White House today to try to head off the shutdown, but there was no deal. So the president headed for the White House briefing room, and Chip Reid was there. Chip, good evening.
Well, good evening, Harry. The president had two goals in his surprise visit to the briefing room. First, he wanted to force Republicans to compromise in this budget battle. And second, he wants to make sure that if there is a government shutdown, Republicans get the blame.
We are now closer than we have ever been to getting an agreement. There's no reason why we should not get an agreement.
The president said the American people don't want finger-pointing, then promptly pointed his finger directly at Republicans for refusing to compromise.
Nobody gets 100% of what they want. We have more than met the Republicans halfway at this point.
But Republican Speaker John Boehner says the president's to blame for the standoff, calling Mr. Obama's budget cuts smoke and mirrors.
You've heard me say for the last 3 months that we have no interest in the government shutting down. But we are interested in cutting spending here in Washington, D.C.
If there is a shutdown, what exactly will happen is murky at best. Most of the nation's 4.4 million federal employees are deemed essential and would continue to work. But hundreds of thousands of non-essential workers would stay home. Social Security checks would continue to be mailed, but tax refunds from the IRS could be delayed. And the Pentagon said today it's unclear if the troops will be paid on time.
The president said he'll call congressional leaders back here to the White House every day this week if they can't reach a deal on their own. One thing the White House is hoping to do is have the president appear like an adult breaking up a childish battle. Harry?
And if the government does get shut down, Chip, this is really high-stakes brinksmanship.
It really is, Harry. Remember, about 15 years ago, the last time there was a government shutdown, President Clinton outmaneuvered Newt Gingrich, and the Republicans got the blame. But I should add, it's not just the blame game. Both sides also want to avoid a shutdown here because of the negative effect it would have on the fragile economic recovery. Harry?
Chip Reid at the White House tonight. Thanks. Now to the budget plan the Republican chairman of the House Budget Committee put out today for next year and beyond. Paul Ryan of Wisconsin says it would cut about $6 trillion in spending over the next 10 years by overhauling Medicare and the tax code. Nancy Cordes is on Capitol Hill with more on that. Nancy, good evening.
Harry, these cuts are broader than anything either party has ever put forward. Republicans say they are the key to the nation's fiscal health, while Democrats say they will tear apart the nation's safety net.
This is the path to prosperity.
Making good on their chief campaign promise, House Republicans unveiled a plan to dramatically shrink the size of government by overhauling the social programs at the root of the nation's debt crisis.
It is time to stand up and do what is necessary to fix this country. We need to be honest with the American people about the problems we face.
Starting with Medicare, which they want to convert over time from a government-run insurance program to a subsidy seniors could use to help defray the cost of private insurance.
No changes, let me repeat, no changes are made that would affect those in or near retirement.
Then Republicans want to put a cap on Medicaid, food stamp assistance, and housing assistance programs, giving states a fixed amount of money each year to insure the poor, instead of making payments that fluctuate based on need. The Medicaid changes alone, they say, would save $750 billion over 10 years. But Democrats say the cuts come at the expense of those who can least afford it, the poor and the elderly.
They essentially end Medicare as we know it. They don't reform it, they deform it.
The wealthiest Americans would get a major tax break. The plan calls for reducing the top tax bracket and the corporate tax bracket from 35% to 25%, a move Republicans claim would spur job growth.
There's nothing more sacred for the Republicans than making sure that they protect wealth.
This House Republican plan has no chance of passing as is in the Democratically controlled Senate, but it completely reshapes the debate over spending both here in the halls of Congress and out on the campaign trail, Harry.
Nancy Cordes on Capitol Hill, thanks.